start with is I am going to read the warnings for both meetings we'll hold today. We're going to start with the town meeting in the morning, and then in the afternoon we will go to the school meeting. But just to open things up, I want to get both those warnings out of the way. The legal voters of the town of Jamaica and the county of Windham and state of Vermont are hereby notified and warned to meet at 10 a.m. at the town hall in said town of Jamaica on the first Tuesday in March, March 7th, 2017, to transact the following business and act upon the following articles. On page 54, you'll see the warning for the school board. Now I'm going to open that up just so we're moving. I think it's on, oops, I got the wrong page. Here we go, 56. So this is the warning for the Jamaica School District 2017 annual meeting. The legal voters of the town School District of Jamaica, Vermont are hereby notified and warned to meet at the town hall in Jamaica on Tuesday, March 7th, 2017 at 1 p.m. to act on the following articles. What I'm going to do now is go back to the town meeting since both of them are open, and we'll go to the first action of business, which is the voting in of the moderator. I have been the moderator from the for the past year. I'm going to hand it over to Paul Frazier, who will run the meeting, because I shouldn't if I'm going to be elected.
Or if you're not going to be elected.
Correct.
All right, I would entertain a motion to, or some nominations for the town moderator. I have a motion for Greg Jolly. Do I hear any? Second. I am on a lot of seconds. Any other nominations? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I like this job. It's quick and dirty.
I will thank you for your votes at the end of the meeting. All right. So what we're going to do is I just want to start off by thanking and remembering Ralph Coleman, who was the town moderator for 37 years and passed last year. In the interest of full disclosure, Ralph cut some wood that's in my house, and he also married my wife and I back in 1992. So I just wanted people to remember Ralph for all the service that he gave to the town and all the various ways that he did it. One other thing I want to let people know is that there's voting going on in the back for the Australian ballot for the new district, Act 46, free consolidation, reconfiguration, whatever they're calling it. So that's going on. There's a sign in and a sign out. If you haven't voted yet, if you want to vote during the meeting, please do so, but please keep the talk to a quiet so the rest of the meeting can go on easily. The other thing I want to let you know is that Oliver Olson will not be coming today for personal reasons, business reasons. He's not able to make the meeting and address us. So that is unfortunate, but it will also speed the process. All right, so let's dive right into our warning here, and it's on page 4 for anybody who wants a scorecard as we go. I got my scorecard. So the first thing we're going to do is to hear a report of the professional auditors. And if you look on, it's done by Sullivan Powers and Company of Mount Pelier, and it's in the town meeting here. Page 9. For anybody who's interested in the fine nitty-gritty detail, there are copies of the full audit here. It's 27 pages long. Anybody who wants one, please take one. Does anybody wish to say anything about the audit? We'll move on to the elections then.
We have to accept that.
Oh, I would accept the motion to accept this here. That we accept the independent auditor's report. I'll accept the movement from the floor. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, sorry. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call it. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Passed. One down. Good, good. So, what we're going to move on to next is we are going to move on to the to elect the following officers as required by law. The first person, or to be elected, will be for a select person, a term of 3 years, and this is by ballot. And that person presently is Judy Flowers, correct? Very good. I'll accept any nominations from the floor. I hear Judy Flowers. Do I have a second? Second. Very good. Are there any other nominations for this position for 3 years on the select board?
I nominate Joel Blooming.
Joel Blooming has been nominated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. Any other nominations for this position for 3 years? That means we go to a paper ballot, folks. Please prepare your ballots. What I want you to do is to come down the center aisle, deposit your ticket, and then go back to your seats around the outside.
I have paper if anyone,
And there's paper sheets for anybody here who needs it,
there's pens in the back.
and there are pens in the back. So prepare your ballots. And we can begin to vote. There were 66 ballots cast. Of those, 1 was blank, 1 was cast for Claire Robinson, 24 were cast for Joel, and Judy Flowers got 40. So you have elected Judy Flowers for a 3-year term. Thank you. Moving right along again, now there is a position open for a select board person for a term of 1 year. Presently that is Paul Frazier. So I'm opening up the floor to nominations. Do I hear nominations?
I nominate Paul Frazier.
Paul Frazier has been nominated. Second?
Joel Blooming.
Wait, I need a second for this one.
Second.
Joel Blooming.
Joel Blooming has been nominated. Have a second there.
Second. Second.
Very good. Any other nominations for the position of 1 year? Ms. Selectperson. Very good. Declaring nominations closed. Please prepare your ballots and do the same drill again.
Right there. No paper?
There was Joel and Paul Frazier. I'm sorry, Joel, your last name? Joel Blooming or Paul Frazier. Those are your 2 candidates. Again, come down the middle, go around the outside to reseat yourself. Box is right here. Here's the results of your voting. There were 67 total votes cast. Joel Blooming received 19. Paul Frazier received 48. You have elected Paul Frazier for the 1-year position on the select board. Moving on. We are looking at a select board person for a term of 1 year. Presently, the occupant of that seat is Lou Brusso. I'm opening up the floor to nominations. Do I have nominations for this 1-year position?
Nominate Lou. Again.
Lou Brusso. Lou is declined. Joel Blooming has been nominated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. Any other nominations for this position of 1 year select board?
I nominate Greg Millman.
Greg Muehlman has been nominated. Do I have a second? There's a second over here. Do I hear any other nominations for the position of 1 year for the select board? Hearing none, declare the nominations closed. Prepare your ballots. Repeat the names. It's Greg Muehlman and Joel Blooming. Those are your candidates. Again, come down the center, around the outside. And there's more scrap if you need it. Here's the results of your voting. There were 68 votes total cast. Joel Blooming received 34. Greg Mullman's 34. You've achieved a tie. Therefore, you need to re-vote it.
I'd like to withdraw my nomination.
Greg has withdrawn his nomination. I can open the floor up to another nomination if anybody's interested. Very good. Hearing none. How do we do this? There being no other nominations, the moderator will declare them closed. And I make a motion to close the nominations, cast a ballot for Joel Blooming, 1 ballot. Do I have a second on that? Second. Mr. Blooming, welcome. No? Joel Blooming has a 1-year position on the Selectboard. Paul, did you want to say something?
Yeah, real quickly before we leave the select board, I really want to say something about a major loss that this town is going to feel when Lou leaves. He's had his fingers in lots of things, but we have, as a town, really seriously benefited from his expertise, and even in what he wasn't an expert, we benefited from his energy. He has also been on the Wyndham Waste management thing for the county, not just for us. So he's represented us as well as the solid waste. You know, he's all involved with the kind of basically hunch of the sidewalk change. I worked with him pretty closely, and I will tell you that the bridge to the transfer station, the Castle Hill Bridge, would not have happened if it hadn't been him, because I was about to throw my hands up, because we had problems I won't go into. But he owns that bridge. It should be the Russo Memorial Bridge. Yes, Memorial Bridge. Just die. Anyway. So he's going to hang in as the flood zone administrator, so we can still beat him up every once in a while. But Lou, again, thank you very much. You're going to be missed dramatically. Yeah. Yep. And if you change your mind.
Very good. So your select board for the next year with multiple year members has been selected. And remember, look on the website, find their time, and go visit them when they meet. They love having the public there. We're going to move on next to the listers here. And first one up is a lister for a term of 3 years. You'll notice later in the warning there's another issue here, I believe it's number 8, where there's a possibility that the town might go over to outside listers. Paul, would you like to explain what's going on here before we go into this vote?
Yeah, let me come up here. What we have done over the last year anyway, is we've operated with only one lister. We cannot operate with only one lister. So even though we advertise, we finally got some interest. We have appointed 2 additional listers to carry to today so that we can vote on some new listers. Parallel to that was trying to come up with an option that would be other than the listers. And there's several things that we could do, none of which are particularly popular. One of them is to do away with the lister's office and hire professionals to do that sort of work. There's a couple of variations on that theme. I won't bore you with the details, but what we have to do today is elect. Well, we have 2 listers to elect. Barbara is going to stay with us. She's been a lister for a while. 2 other listers. Then we will decide in Article 8 whether or not the town itself wishes to do away with the lister's office and progress into a more professional, permanent sort of agency absent the listers. There's a lot of complicated factors. It's a moving target. We're trying to do the best we can with what we have. Those kinds of things rest with the population of Jamaica. Whether we want to have a lister's office, which has been chronically difficult to fill, or move to professionals. We are currently in the process of a townwide audit. Townwide reappraisal. And so that's going to cover some of this stuff. But we have to think down the road. We have to think in the future.
Paul, I'd like to also let the town know.
This is
that-
Barbara? Barbara?
Yes, I'm the lister, and I'd like to let the town know that last year when we had vacancies, you appointed, there wasn't just one lister, I wasn't the only one functioning, that Pete was in there. And he worked there till, you were with us, what, Pete, till September, October?
About 5 months, yeah.
Yeah, and to get us through the grievance, and that was because of issues, Ralph was no longer able to come in. And so it's not that the office is not functioning, and it's that it is, we did have someone appointed with us, there was only, one other person, so it's not like I was flying solo. The other issue is that because we are going through town-wide reappraisal, we are indeed being reviewed and audited, and so it's sort of a moot point to eliminate the board this year or next year when the reappraisal will be completed.
This is going to come up under Article 8.
Yes.
I just wanted to have people understand the difference between electing the listers, which these positions need to be filled, and the Article 8, which is dealing with future possibilities and requirements of the town. So I'm going to return to the voting on the specific positions of the listers.
Question before we do
Yes.
that. What are the qualifications needed for a lister? What exactly do they do? Do they get paid? How does that work?
That would be something that would be addressed by the board. Right now, I have a vote in front of me. We have 2 candidates. Do people want to go into a discussion about what a lister is and what they do? Who wishes to address that?
Well, I'm staying up.
I was going to wait until Article 8, but you want me to give you some thoughts?
See, I told you we're gonna miss him.
I'm having some blowback here that we shouldn't be discussing this right now. However, the moderator can make a decision. My decision is that you cannot make an informed decision on who to vote for, and a person cannot make a decision whether they wish to not be nominated for the position unless there is some background of what the position entails. So the moderator makes a decision that we will have give you a discussion.
Good decision.
Okay. I've had the opportunity to look a little closer at the lister position because when Ralph was chair of the board, he asked me to step in to help the listers out when one of the other listers had resigned. So I've had a chance to kind of observe a lot of that. First of all, let me give you a little history about reappraisal and the like. I think the town was reappraised in the 2008-2009 time frame. And since then, anytime a house is sold or anytime a house has been additions put on or the like, the lister's responsibility was to go out and to look at that property and to determine what its fair assessed value would be. That's one of the responsibilities that the lister has. Then another responsibility is there's some dealing with the state. The state, back and forth between the listers and the state offices, they deal with the homestead and they deal also with the current use program. So there's some office type of work. Traditionally, what's happened in the lister's office has been they've been responsible for the mapping. We have a ARC GIS program that is being used to do GIS mapping, so they've been responsible for that. There are some other administrative things. For example, if a person wants to see the value of their property and how the listers have appraised it, they get what's called a lister card. A lot of that, and also they can come in and get a copy of what their map, the map of their property looks like regarding things like whether they're in the flood zone or whether they're in the river corridor or who their neighbors are and the like. A lot of that responsibility has sort of been spread around now. Ralph was the one who did a lot of the work on going out into the community and looking at properties. I think before him, I think Peter did a lot of that. I think there were other, I think Bruce Borgman did some of that and the like. I don't think since Ralph left, most of that work's been done by the reappraisal firm that we've been using. The reappraisal firm is responsible for the current reappraisal, but we asked them to come in and do some work last year appraising some of the properties that needed to be done before the grand list could be closed. The person who left the lister's job did some of the mapping programs. And I took over that role for a year. I learned how to run the mapping software, but I don't think any mapping is being done at the moment. I think one of the big projects that I wanted to do was to spread out some of the ability of the getting these lister cards and getting copies of tax map, because what happened in the past is they could only come in during the hours that the listers were open. So what we've done is we spread that around. Now the town clerk can do lister cards, and I think the town treasurer as well, and they can also print out tax maps and the like. So the role of the lister has changed over the last 10 years or so. I think while we only had one lister, I think a lot of that responsibility fell onto Barbara. Oh, there's one other thing that also happens. The land records, when they're complete, when they're recorded, the records have to be put into the grand list, and that used to also be done by the listers. Now that's being automatically done by a program, the land records program. So my point is that the role of the listers has changed, and the question is, in what direction do we want to proceed? And over the last year or so, I've been kind of looking at 3 different models. One model is similar to the one that we've been traditionally using, where we have 3 listers, and their responsibilities are what they've always been. They'll go out into the community, look at the properties. However, one of the things that I've noticed is that the assessing process is a lot more complicated than it used to be. And the idea of using a professional appraiser is very compelling. The second model is what I call the Stratton model, because I'm familiar with Stratton, the town of Stratton. They hire a professional appraiser every year to come in and look at all the different properties, and then they update the grand list based on what those properties, and when I say all the properties, I mean all the properties that have changed. Any property that has had an addition put on, or has sold, or the like, they get looked at by a professional appraiser and reappraised. And that model seems to me to be pretty good, because I know I couldn't appraise property. All I can go out there and do is measure things, but I really can't appraise. I don't think very many people in the audience can do that. So that is pretty compelling to me. And what happens in Stratton is that they still have their 3 listers, but they don't work the number of hours that they used to. They have one lister who is in the office most of the time, but she also does other things in the in the clerking area. So the idea of having one lister in the office and the other 2 working, what the other 2 would do is back up that lister if they couldn't make it to the office, and they also are there during the grievance. Although some people would be grieving. So that would be the what I call the Stratton model, where you have one lister that's in the office every week, and the other listers work during the grieving process. You know. The third model is where we don't have the 3 listers, that instead we hire a professional firm to do all of that work. They would do all of the appraisal, and they would do all the interactions between the state. However, a lot of the things like printing out lister cards would then fall on the town clerk and the town treasurer, as they've been doing pretty much anyways, and those kind of activities. So in which case, that's the reason why the article was put here, because in order to do that, you have to do it through a town-wide vote. You can't just, the select board doesn't make that decision. So those are the 3 models that I've been looking at, and I wanted to share that with you. And
Good. Good. Thanks, Lou.
Thanks, Lou.
Any questions?
Yes.
Lou, is there any estimate on what the cost of that would be?
Okay, now we're getting into a discussion about, we'll go into Article 8. What we wanted was informational.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll come back to that in Article 8. Thanks.
You didn't explain if they were paid, the positions now.
The positions now are paid as listers?
Well, they are paid for the hours that they work. And the number of hours is something that the town meeting can determine, but they are paid by the number of hours.
This isn't a volunteer position. All right, so I'm going to move on to the vote.
Greg?
Want to take a quick break so they can try and turn on the heat? Okay, everybody just pretend nothing's going on and they're going to open up the magic door. So we're going to take like a 5-minute break. Bathroom's open. All right, let's get back to the lister position. And this one is a lister position for 3 years. And presently, Micah Eberhard has the position. So I'm going to open up nominations from the floor. Who would you like to serve as your lister for a term of 3 years?
Nominate Lou.
I'll second it.
Lou Bruno has been nominated. We have a second. Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Ann Cummings.
Ann Cummings has been nominated. Do I have a second on that? Second. Do I have any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Micah for the 3-year position.
Micah Eberhard has been nominated for the position of 3 years. It's been seconded by Joel Blooming. Any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none. Close nominations. Prepare your ballots. Come down the center out to the right side.
We see that
Please, the 3 nominees, will you please stand just so people can see who you are? Ann Cummings, Micah, Ann's not here, and Micah's not here. And who was the third person? Lou. Please prepare your ballots. Come down the center. Okay. Results of your voting. 69 total votes. Votes needed to win 35. Ann Cummings received 10. Micah Eberhard received 26. Lou Russo 33. I.e., nobody gained a majority. Therefore, you need to re-vote it again. So your 3 individuals are Lou Russo, Micah Eberhard, and Ann Cummings. Prepare your ballots. Same drill again.
That makes sense?
All right, this is the second vote from lister for 3 years. Total votes cast 69. Ann Cummings received 10. Lou Russo 38. Micah Eberhard 21. You have elected Lou Russo for the 3-year term. Congratulations, Lou. Moving right along. That's 6 votes in 70 minutes, people. Yeah, we're doing great. Okay. What we've got now is a term for a lister. Is that a 3-year one?
It's a 3-year term ending in 2019, so it's the remaining 2 years.
Okay, so this is to fill a vacancy for a 3-year term, which will end in 2019, to fill out a term that expired, somebody else resigned from. And presently, the person in that position is Ann Cummings, correct? I will take nominations from the floor for this position of lister. Any nominations?
Ann Cummings.
Ann Cummings has been nominated second. Any other nominations?
Micah Eberhard.
Micah Eberhard has been.
I second that.
And that has been seconded. Any other nominations for the position of lister? Hearing none, I can close the nominations. Prepare your ballots down the center, around the side. You do it again. You're getting good. Here's the results of your voting. 69 total votes cast. Ann Cummings received 30. Micah Eberhard received 39. Micah has been elected for the second 3-year term for the lister. Congratulations. Blazing onward. We are now up to the position of first constable. Presently, it's been Rob Willis. So I will open the floor for nominations for the position of first constable. Scattershot. Any other nominations from the floor? Nominations have been All right, now we got the parliamentarian here. During nominations closed, I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Rob Willis for the position of, let me finish, first constable. Yes, now. Will you please move the motion? Very good. Second? Second. Very good. Rob wins. All right. Here we go again. Now we're down to the second constable, who is presently Ben Williams. I'll open up the floor for the position of second constable. Do I hear nominations?
I nominate Ben Williams.
Second.
Second.
Second. Any other nominations for the position of second constable? Nominations have been closed. Very good. I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Ben Williams for second constable.
So moved. Second.
Very good. Congratulations, Ben.
Sorry, I was late, guys.
Okay. Next position is the position of town grand juror. Presently, Steve Clark is serving in this position for you. I'll open up the floor for nominations to town grand juror.
Steve Clark.
Steve Clark's been nominated. Second.
Second.
Close nomination.
Nominations have been closed. I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Steve Clark as your town grand juror.
So moved.
Very good. Second?
Second.
Very good. Steve Clark is your town grand juror. Next position is position of town agent. Peter Andrews has served in this position. I will open up the floor for nominations for the position of town agent.
Peter Andrews.
Peter Andrews has been nominated. Second?
Second.
No, I'm looking for, I got that. I'm looking for this one.
Oh, sorry. Close nominations.
Very good. Nominations have been closed. I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Peter Andrews to serve as your town agent.
So moved.
Second? Congratulations, Peter. Next is the trustee for public funds, and Stephen Clark has been in this position. And I will open up the floor for nomination to trustee of public funds.
Nominate Steve.
Steve Clark's been nominated. Second?
Second.
Close nomination.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Steve Clark to be the trustee of public funds.
So moved.
I got a second. Okay, good. Steve Clark is your trustee of public funds. We now have the next position as agent to deed land. Pam Tweedy has been in this position. I'll open the floor for nominations for this position of agent to deed land.
Nominate Pam Tweedy.
Pam?
I respectfully decline.
Pam is Do we have somebody else who?
Nominate Steve Clark.
Steve Clark has been nominated. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is Steve here to accept this nomination?
Has Steve?
He's aware.
A good,
Whether he likes it.
good neutral terms. Do I hear any other nominations from the floor for the position of, what am I doing, agent to deed land?
Move to close nomination.
Thank you. I will ask somebody to make a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Steve Clark to be the agent to deed land.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Steve Clark is your agent to deed land. Now we get to the all exciting positions of the library trustees for a term of 2 years. Presently, Rachel Stoll is in this position. I will take nominations for the floor for the position of library trustee for a term of 2 years. Rachel Stoll's been nominated.
I decline.
Rachel declines. Do I have any other?
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
Yeah, you did
Bonnie
respectfully.
West has been nominated. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Bonnie West.
Any other nominations from the floor?
Close nomination.
Very good. I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Bonnie West to be a library trustee for the term of 2 years. Second?
Second.
Congratulations, Bonnie. All right. We also have library trustee for a term of 2 years. Presently, Alice Abram is in this position. I'll entertain motion from the floor for this position. Alice has been nominated.
Second.
Seconded. Very good. Any other nominations for this position?
Move to close nomination.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Alice Abram to serve as your library trustee for a term of 2 years.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Congratulations, Alice. Now we're going too fast. I can't keep up. Next is a library trustee for a term of 5 years. This is the big one, folks. This is the one everybody covets. So, presently Sue Stomsky is in that position. I will open up the floor for nominations for a term of 5 years as your library trustee. Sue has been nominated.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Move to close nomination.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Sue Stomsky to be your library trustee for a term of 5 years.
So moved.
Second? Congratulations, Sue. Whoa, I think we're through the voting. Now we go on to Article 4. Shall the voters authorize the transfer of the prior year revenue surplus of $144,359 even to the following funds? $55,814 even to pay the FY18 bond payment on the new town garage, $50,000 even to be moved to the town building reserve fund, and $38,545 even to lower the amount of taxes to be raised. Is there a motion on this article?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there information that want to be presented, and then I'll open it up to questions. Unless you want to ask questions.
Yeah, my question is, how do we decide to appropriate or divide the money up?
Okay. Question is, how did you decide to divide the funds up the way that you had them divided?
Yeah. The word decide isn't the right word. The word recommend is the right word. You decide. We only recommend. And as we were contemplating what to do with this, first of all, let me tell you why we have such a huge surplus. And I can actually ask Terry to speak a little bit about this because it's basically around the delinquent taxes issue. So I'll ask Terry. You want me to say? Okay. We had a very large delinquent tax sale last year. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We had a large delinquent tax collection last year. We hadn't had one, I think, in a number of years. And a lot of properties sold for that during that year. So a lot of this excess surplus is because of delinquent taxes. And of course, we always typically have about a $30,000 to $35,000 surplus. And I think the Selectboard did not spend as much money as they were budgeted for last year as well. So that's part of the reason for that surplus. Whenever there's a surplus, the Selectboard doesn't decide what happens to it. It's you. The reason for the bond payment is really the same as lowering your taxes. Only where if you always think about taxes have a sort of base that they stay with. If you lower that base too much, then the next year when you go back to where you were, it looks like a big tax increase. So to avoid the idea of having a big tax decrease and then having a big increase, we thought the best way to do it was to pay the first year's bond payment, which is about $56,000, $55,000 with this surplus. And that way you don't see for at least one more year the implication of the additional taxes for the bond. We always typically look to the reserve fund that we ought to put some of these funds to. In the past years, we've always put it to the road fund, the road and bridges fund. This year, we thought we've had some issues with roofs and stuff like that, so we thought that it's probably, I think there's about 50,000 in the building fund now. We thought we'd increment that a little bit, so if we do get hit hard on a particular building, we can cover that without having to worry too much. So that's the reason we made those two recommendations, and then the decision was, since we had another 30 or so thousand, we reduced the amount of taxes to be chosen. So that's the reason the select board made those three decisions, or those three recommendations, but it's totally up to you to decide how you want to handle that money.
Thank you, Lou. Questions?
Actually, I'm really glad that you spoke to this, because it was a question that I had about how this money, because it is a lot of money, and that it comes from delinquent tax revenue. I find a little bit troublesome in terms of community needs, okay? And what I don't know if this is appropriate, the appropriate time, but you know, when people lose their homes because they don't have the money to pay for their taxes, and that is very troublesome to me. There are a lot of folks who are having a hard time paying for necessary repairs on homes. And it seems to me that it really would be a good investment for the town to take a windfall like this to provide for some of the folks who are having a hard time just putting those nickels together to pay their taxes and to put new roofs on their houses. And I would really like to recommend, if it's possible, that the $38,545 that's been allotted to decrease our taxes be put into a sinking fund for the purpose of maintaining some sort of a low-interest loan program for homeowners in town. There are other communities that do this, and you know, I think it could be really helpful. You know, for some folks, you know, replacing the hot water heater is, you know, you and I might not think twice about it, but it's a major calamity. And a fund like this could help pay for that kind of problem, and hopefully maybe keep people out of the trouble that causes this loss in delinquent tax, you know, through delinquent taxes. I put this out as a consideration both for community members and certainly for the board.
Elaine, do you want to put that into a motion?
I would love to put it into a motion. I don't know if that's appropriate, whether we would need to vote on this first as it's been presented.
The body can amend the motion.
Okay, what I would like to amend the motion then to put the recommended amount of $38,545 to lower the amount of taxes to be raised into a sinking fund for a low-interest loan program to be administered by the town for low-income homeowners needing to do necessary repairs to keep their homes safe and sound.
That's the motion on the floor. Now what happens here is we have the article itself. An amendment has been proposed. If I get a second for the amendment, then we discuss just this amendment, and we will discuss it, and then I will call a vote at the end of that. Yes or no will determine what the final article will be, and then we will return to the whole article and vote on that as a whole. But first, we must deal with this. If I have a second in the House, we can go into debate. There's a second in the back. Now, we can open up the debate on this. Does anybody have comments or observations? Yes?
Under the heading of the discussion.
Yep.
How do you propose that money is managed?
I would propose that money be managed. I think it's up to the Selectboard to figure out how they want to manage it. They could put it in the hands of the town treasurer with a you could throw up some sort of list of priorities, and, I mean, you know, it's up to you. It doesn't have, I guess basically what I'm saying, Paul, is it doesn't have to be rocket science. Pull together a recommended procedure, give it to the town treasurer, and have her administer it. And this is, don't forget, these are funds that are repaid.
Sure.
And so,
The thing I mean, two things, one of which is, putting this into a fund now makes the select board the arbiter of who and who is not eligible. Two, it puts us in a set of legal questions that is territory that none of us, I don't think, have ever trod on before. So just
Paul,
managing.
we don't expect you to have the answers. I don't expect you to have the answers. Put it in sinking fund, do your homework, and figure out how you can make this happen.
I want to have
The town of Wardsboro has a program like this, and I believe there are other towns in the area that have this also. It doesn't have to be anything overly complicated. You don't have to have every answer right now. It's something you'll have to work on.
I guess I'm trying to make sure we have all the questions.
Okay. Could it be, to take it not out of your hands, but to put it in all of our hands, the DOC instead?
Sure.
And that way you get more people
Okay.
involved.
The difficulty is with.
What we're getting here is minutiae discussion, which I understand, but the body cannot hear you.
Sure.
Paul has spoken, Elaine has spoken to her motion and had an exchange. What I'd like to do is open it up to other people who have something to say who haven't spoken yet.
I think it's a wonderful idea. However, how do you create a framework which is essentially social? It's essentially what social services does. Is there anything within the state? That has developed programs like that can be given to a town so we could study it? As it stands right now, from what I'm getting, the select board doesn't have the ability to just hand out. They have to investigate, they have to find out what is actually going on with people who need it. And that's a big responsibility to take on.
Okay, I'm going to go to Norma, but I want to say something. What I want the body to understand is you direct what you want your select board to do. That doesn't mean you tell them how to do it. You are telling them what you want this fund to go towards. It is then their responsibility to take your directive and figure out how to implement it. We can have the discussion about implementation here, but I want you to understand what you're voting on. Okay, Norma?
As Elaine said, it doesn't have to be rocket science. Right off the bat, I can think of two organizations who would be assistive, Neighborhood Connections, who do a lot of work with people in Jamaica, and they know the people who need assistance. You also have SEVCA, which is located in the southern Vermont area, and they have grant money available, and they have a lot of people who know the people in the neighborhood. So it doesn't have to be the select board that makes the decision. It may be a smaller committee voted on by this body or the select board. I think it would have to be voted because you need to trust. Elaine and I both work in confidential situations, and it's not, I have money that I distribute for fuel assistance, and I'm the only one that knows who gets it. And so it doesn't have to be, they don't have to do it, but they need to designate somehow that can be done. If I was going to stay in town, I'd be glad to help out with that. But as most of you know, I'm retiring in August. Yay.
Something called the law of unintended consequences. The proposal has great merit. I like the sound of it. But to jump in with both feet before we do our homework and investigate it and come up with an actual plan, it could be unintended consequences that will suffer, will all suffer.
True.
I don't know if I was Terry, but were there any primary homes, primary residents that ended up being sold in the tax sale?
There were.
There were.
True.
And I mean, I have a policy that I follow, and it's fairly strict now, but if somebody comes to me and says,
gee, I can't pay, you know, can I pay you $50 a month? I will take $50 a month. But most people don't come and say anything to me about paying it off a little bit at a time. And I hope that I make people feel welcome when they come in the office enough to come in and talk to me about it, but they didn't. And my job as delinquent tax collector is to have no delinquent taxes, so that's how we got to where we are. Certainly, I'm not about taking people out of the way, but they need to take the responsibility to make the payments, and I would accept anything that they would do. And I will say, can I just say one more thing? In Wardsboro, yes, we do have the revolving loan fund, and it comes from state money. There's a committee. You have to file an application with the committee for whatever you use. It can be anything that you need the money for. And the committee is the one that makes a decision about how long the loan is and whether they need to use the money. And in Wardsboro, I don't know about anywhere else, but that's the way it works.
Drew? We're talking about low and income people that are struggling to pay their bills, struggling to pay their taxes. By removing a reduction in their taxes. We're going to be talking about the school budget this afternoon, and we've already approved the high school budget with significant tax increases in it this year, and tax increases that are going to be coming in the future every single year. If you've not been following the school debate, your taxes are going to continue to go up every year in the future. So what we're talking about is removing probably the only tax relief we're going to see anywhere soon in our budget.
This is nickels.
I'll take the nickels. It's not nickels.
Okay,
It's money.
38,000.
Does anybody on the board know how much you're putting this money towards reducing the tax burden? What the number of, how much will the taxpayers receive in relief from what you're doing?
I defer that to the treasurer. She's the number guru.
It will reduce the municipal rate by about 0.5%.
0.5%.
0.5% per thousand or per $100.
And that's only on the municipal side. The municipal side, and the current municipal rate, I think, is 34 cents.
So it'll go down to 33.5.
That's again, 33.5 cents per every thousand or every $100. Every $100.
Nelson?
My question is, can the town board be a lending agency? In other words, can the town have money sitting in a thing that's in the town budget that they can become a lending agency? You know, Terry said that there was a committee, came from state monies. Is the town select board even involved in
I
that?
believe the town of Townsend has done the same thing. They took money and set it aside for a revolving loan fund down there. They dissolved it, but it was there to be used.
Karen?
There is a fund that the town has. I think it's the Muzzy Fund, right? Is this correct? There's 17,000 in there?
But some of it, I'm not exactly sure. I'd have to look up in my list.
Bonnie, do you remember what the Muzzy Fund was?
The Muzzy Fund, there's I think there's $5,000 that you can't touch. You get just the interest on the bonds and whatever. And it was to be used for children and women and poor people. It's in the town record book what it's for, but it's basically for what's for children and like single mothers and that sort of thing.
As a loan or?
No, it's just an outright grant.
So we have a fund started. There is a fund.
We have used it 2 or 3 times for people that either got burnt out or had a very serious illness and needed the extra help.
Any other questions, comments?
So that money could have been used for the young man in Jamaica who had to raise his own, so he came home from Boston.
Technically, yes.
If I may,
On that topic, there is an access to some funds through the Salvation Army that is managed by the town services officer, who can then, and has in the past provided to fire victims and these kinds of things through the Salvation Army. It is Salvation Army money, and it's not the town money, but it's being managed by the town service officer, which last year the state did away with. Not the money, just the town service officer position. But the money is still available through the Salvation Army. So there are funds that can help, because you and I work with other situations where we can give vouchers to emergency circumstances. So we do have not exactly a real solid cushion, but we do have opportunities to assist people in the town of Jamaica who are in need.
Why don't people know these things? Like, I didn't know anything about Salvation Army. I didn't know about the Muzzy Fund. Like, people need to know these things so that, like, with the tax, like, we don't come up with other ideas that you guys have already presented to us.
That's what the town meeting is about. You are the body. You are the body. So, yes, Joel.
Why don't we just reserve judgment on this $38,000 and not be forced to make a rash decision and have it available for, we can always decide to put it into the town fund to lower taxes, but we could also at some point decide not to.
We've had discussion on the question. Let me just wheel you back about how the process works. What I need now is for somebody to ask for the closure of discussion.
I move to close discussion.
Discussion is now closed. Now, what we're going to do is go back to the original amendment that Elaine put forward. That is what you're going to vote on. That you take the $38,545, which is now designated to lower the amount of taxes to be raised, and you would replace it with Elaine's motion to use that money towards this sliding fund. I forget what you call it. Sinking fund, towards the sinking fund. Now, we can do a hand vote, or we can do a paper vote. If you want a paper vote, I need 7 people to put their hands up. You got a paper vote. All right, so we are voting just on Elaine's amendment, up or down. Okay? Yes will mean that you want it to change to the sinking fund. No means you want to leave it the way the Selectboard has presented to you in the article.
We use that 38,000 as
The results of your voting, there are 72 total votes cast. Yes received 28, no received 44. No takes the day. So what we do now is we go back to the original statement of the article so that the $38,545 will now still stay to lower the amount of taxes to be raised. So we are back to the original amendment, which means now we can discuss the original article. So, yes.
So that $38,500, is that still discretionary, or must it be deducted from the taxes? Can the select board say, you know what, we won't take 38,000, we'll take 10,000?
No, if that's the way you voted.
All right, that's all. Thank you. Thanks, Lou.
Call the question.
Question has been called.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Because it's 12:05, I'm getting hungry. Okay, the question has been called. Now, do you want to do this by voice?
Yes.
Or do you want to do it by written ballot? If I've got 7 people for the written ballot, anybody for the written ballot? Thank you. All right, all those in favor of Article 4 as it is stated in the warning, please raise your hand. This is to pass, yes. Okay, very good. Those opposed? The ayes have it, it's passed. Now, what we have to do is break for lunch, which means that the school board meeting has been warned for 1 o'clock. When we come back, I will open up the school meeting. When the school meeting is over, then I will reopen this meeting to finish the last 5 articles we have left.
You can vote 2 times.
So, go eat and come back at 1. Thank you.
If you don't do it, I'm going
Okay, here we go. I want to make a few announcements and then I'll open up the school board meeting. So there's a few amount. Now, is Vega here?
No.
Do you want to talk about it?
No.
Okay, we'll wait for Vega then. Norma.
I'm your representative, Jamaica's representative, to the Advisory Council of Senior Solutions. And over the past year, I have included an informational thing of frequently asked questions. But over the past year, we've provided 1,511 meals to 7 of your neighbors. The 800 number, the toll-free senior help number, has fielded 41 questions from you. They've assisted 5 elders through 36 hours of in-home care management. And there's a lot of other things that Senior Solution does. I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and also to let you know that there are services available for our seniors, and the Senior Solution, right now, it's free of charge. We are going through a process of reestablishing what our goals are, and we might eventually have a fee for service, but right now it's free. So if you know someone who's over the age of 60 and they have some needs, please give them a call. If they can't help you, they can get you to someone who will be able to help you. The senior hotline, the number is on the form up front. And there's some other forms here for 3 Square, Vermont. And they have somebody who will help you fill out all these applications. And that's one of the challenges, I think. I worked as a service coordinator for a year, and filling out the forms and making sure you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's correctly for state funds can be very challenging. So give them a call. Thank you. Thank you.
Rob, did you have something you want to say about the, somebody told you want to talk about something.
Another thing.
Oh, the home days, that's it.
Well, I guess I'll just announce that a few of us have got together and decided we wanted to try to put together another Jamaica Old Home Day this summer, Karen being one of them and a few other people. Tonight we're going to have a beginning meeting at the library at 6 o'clock to kind of start organizing the thoughts for that this summer, but just to give the community a heads up that the works are underway, looking at a barbecue parade, a few other things similar to what we've done in the past. And I will be also doing the Jamaica Salmon Hole Dash at the State Park at 8 o'clock the same morning, which is a 5K walk-run event. And it's a community event. It's made to be inclusive of everybody, trying to keep the cost really low through sponsorship. So it's a great chance to get the community together to either walk or run or just hang out and have some healthy snacks and meet some neighbors. And then it will be a nice segue into Old Home Day that day. So if you want to be part of Old Home Day, which I hope many of you will be in one way, shape, or form, many hands make light work, as you all know. Speak with Karen or myself, and you'll see minutes and meetings warned throughout town as we go forward. So it's going to start tonight at 6 o'clock at the library.
What day is Old Home Day?
July
Saturday,
22nd.
22nd.
Yes.
And we're meeting the first Tuesday of every month
At the library.
First Tuesday of every month at the library for organizational meetings for anybody who's interested. Would you like to speak to yours?
Oh, yeah. Okay, another event going on in Jamaica, which is really getting exciting. I'm part of a group that's putting together a craft show on May 6th, Saturday. It's going to be here and in the streets. And we already have about 35 vendors, craft vendors, some people from in town, Ray Valentine, Margie Silva, a lot of the old people who we know do crafts. And it's not a fundraiser, it's just a day to bring people to Jamaica and know that we have a history of arts and crafts. And I hope if anybody here would like to, has a craft that I don't know about, contact me. There are a couple of flyers up there with applications to be in the event, or just call me and I'll get an application to you. At present, the town hall is filled up. I've already got 15 vendors going to be in here. I have room for people on the streets. It's $15 to be in it. That's going to cover the cost of advertising. We're not really making any money. If anything is left over, it's going to go into the coffers of the Jamaica Arts Council. And I hope you will all just show up. It should be a great time. I need people to help set up that day. I've already contacted the Boy Scouts. Hopefully they will help to set up tents and put tables out. But if anybody here would like to help in any way, I would appreciate it. We're now a committee of 4. Ann DeBosque, Jay Stone, myself, and Valerie Heisler, and Sharon Curlin. And is there any questions?
The church is going to have food.
Oh, yes. The church is going to have food. I know the workforce will be open. DK, of course, always comes through. And hopefully it'll be a nice day. We would like to utilize some of the porches on the street. I know we can use Ann DeBosque's porch, and I want to ask other people who have porches, in case the weather is a little bit off, it would be great if we can use the porches. It will also be very Jamaica looking as opposed to other craft fairs that are around. And I think it's going to be very special. I'm shocked that I already have 35 vendors. And I need people to come that day. Okay?
What day is it on again?
Saturday, May 6th, from 10 till 5. You're going to be seeing posters all over the place. I have a small one. It's not refined yet, but you'll look for these. Okay? And
I'll need an application.
Oh, what do you do?
Because, whoa. Business outside?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Speaking of the Jamaica Community Arts Council that Eleanor was talking about, we're working on some more community events here at the town hall. This year we're going to be doing what we call the Thursdays in Town series. But right now on the schedule we have the Best Little Arts and Crafts show on May 6th. We have a Mother's Day concert with Acoustic Crush, Patty Casey in Hungrytown, Sunday, May 14th here. Thursday, May 18th, the first of our Thursday nights in town, will be the Speckers. And I don't know if you guys remember seeing them last year. Yeah, the Speckers are coming back, so don't miss that show. Thursday, June 13th, the Luminous Crush. Thursday, July 20th, we're going to do a ukulele extravaganza. Try to get as many kids and ukuleles in here and have a lot of fun as possible. Haven't booked August or September yet, but Sunday, this is the tentative date, but Sunday, August 27th, there'll be another one of the tribute shows that have been going on every summer. This year will be a tribute to the Nobel Laureate, Bob Dylan. And once again, we're going to close this year, hopefully close with the Stockwell Brothers and the Bonneville Boys on Saturday, October 7th. So a lot of music, but if anybody is interested in doing other events or helping, working with the council to get other types of community events, we're working on a play, one-person play that was written by a professor at Bennington College. It's about a murder trial in Manchester in the mid-1860s. So that's probably going to happen in June. So keep your eyes out. There will be announcements somewhere if you want to help. If you have an idea for a show, let us know. We'll try to put something else on. So thank you very much.
A lot of activity. Stay tuned. Warning, Jamaica School District 2017 annual meeting. The legal voters of the town School District of Jamaica, Vermont are hereby notified and warned to meet at the Town Hall in Jamaica on Tuesday, March 7th, 2017 at 1 p.m. to act upon the following articles. The meeting's open. The first article you see is to vote in a moderator. This morning I opened up both the meetings and you voted me in as moderator for both these meetings. So if that's fine with the body, I will continue. Thank you. So we'll move right on to Article number 2, to elect Jamaica School District Officers as required by law. So the School District Director, a 2-year term from 2017 to 19. And the present member sitting in that position is Ann Reynolds. So I'll open up the floor for nominations to this position for 2 years. 2 years school board. Any nominations?
Nominate Portland Wood.
Nominate second for that?
Second.
Any other nominations? Floor is open.
Nominate Ann.
Ann Reynolds has been nominated. Seconded? Second. Very good. Any other nominations for the position? Discussion here. Do you want to be part of the vote?
No, I decline.
You decline. Okay.
We want
one. Very good. So we only have this gentleman over here as your present nomination. Any other nominations from the floor?
Move we close nominations.
Nominations have been moved to be closed. Therefore, I will entertain a motion from the for the clerk to cast one ballot for. I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Cortland Wood.
Cortland Wood.
Stand up, please.
Cortland Wood to be your school board member for a 2-year term. I'll entertain a motion. Very good. Second? Congratulations. All right. And now we have the second school district director. This is a term for 3 years, running from 2017 to 2020. The present person in this position is?
Amber Burrow.
Amber Burrow. I will entertain nominations from the floor for this 3-year position on the school board.
Amber.
Amber. All right. Position's still open from the floor.
Reynolds.
3 years instead of 2. Okay, just want to be clear there.
I nominate Senna Stevenson.
Nomination is for Senna Stevenson. Can I have a second?
Second.
Very good. Any other nominations?
Move we close.
Thank you. Very good. So I move that we entertain a motion.
Could Senator Stevens please stand?
I will entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for Senna Stevenson for your 3-year position on the school board.
Second.
First thing.
Oh, sorry, motion.
Now I can take a second. Very good. Congratulations. All right, moving right along. We have a position for the Leland and Gray School Director. This is also a 3-year position, in 2017 to 2020. Who presently has this position? Patty Dixon presently has this position until it is voted otherwise. Can I hear a nomination from the floor?
I nominate Patty Dixon. I respectfully decline.
The nominations are still open from the floor for this position, Leland and Gray. Will silence shame? Is negotiations going on? Are there any nominations? All right, we got what's this? You've been nominated? Not that we're all looking at you.
No, not applying for the Jamaica Village one as well, but Yeah, unfortunately, if nobody's going forward, I'm gonna have to accept it.
Are there any other nominations from the floor that we can extract like a bad tip?
Nominations be closed.
Very good. So I will have entertain a motion for the clerk to cast one ballot for
Caroline Pearson.
For Caroline Pearson.
Since I've made everyone else.
I will accept a motion from the floor to cast one ballot to the clerk. So moved. Thank you. Seconded?
Second.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Caroline, I cough a lot. Sounds like names.
Article number 3. Shall the voters of Jamaica School District authorize the school directors to borrow in anticipation of taxes, grants, or other revenue?
So moved.
Seconded?
Second.
Very good. Any debate? Any talk? Observations? Questions? Question. All right, thank you. Good. Questions been moved. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor of the article, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? So passed.
So before we move on, I would just like to thank all of you ladies for all of the time that you've spent on the boards during some particularly difficult transitions. Thank you very much.
Moving on to Article 4. Shall the voters authorize the school directors to spend unanticipated funds such as grants and/or gifts?
So moved.
Very good. Seconded?
Second.
Questions, observations, concerns on this article? Thank you. A second on that?
Second.
All in favor of Article 4, shall the voters authorize the school directors to spend unanticipated funds such as grants and/or gifts? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. So passed Article 4. Article 5, shall the voters of the Jamaica School District approve the school board to expend $1,224,838 even, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. It is estimated that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in education spending of $16,951 even per equalized student. This projected spending per equalized pupil is 10.02% higher than spending for the current year. Have a motion?
I make a motion. We approve.
Very good. Seconded?
Second.
Very good. Any discussion, debate, questions? Any observations from the board? Oh, very
This
good.
is,
Elaine.
I'm going to ask for an observation from the board, please. If you can just, in a nutshell, explain, just over 10% difference for equalized student, where this comes from.
Sure.
You don't have to nickel, I don't need nickel.
Yeah, that's okay. Basically, there's several things coming together. The actual budget itself is only up 2.5%, I believe, but the revenues have dropped quite considerably. So it's making for a larger, bigger increase than we've seen in the past. We've had a big drop in enrollment, and then also there was a change in the way the state was keeping track of phantom students. We had sort of a cushion where we could never drop below 3%, but they changed it to a 10%, allowing a 10% drop, so that hit us pretty hard. So that was definitely part of it. We lost a couple tuition students, some grants got changed, and there's also a difference in the way special ed is being funded, so it looks a little more dramatic. We have a loss in revenue that was coming in for special ed. It's all being done through the SU now, so it's a bit more of a dramatic change this year. It'll be less so next year.
That was about, we did take $100,000 of a surplus that we had and put it toward the budget so that we didn't have to, we could avoid paying the penalty for going over the threshold. So we looked at cutting some programs, and the changes would have just been cents difference, and it really wasn't worth cutting what we still have. So that's where we came up with this budget.
One more question. Since the governor has asked for level funding, what are the implications for us?
Not good. It's pretty scary. We couldn't, just with just regular contract issues that we have, dealing with healthcare and just salary increases that are contracted, we can't say zero. So it will definitely mean cutting programs, and there's not that much left to cut in Jamaica, really. So, yeah, I'm sure that's going to come in to us down the road, even though it's not happening this year. We'll probably face it again next year, and if it's presented in a more timely manner, we'll have to respond to it.
Greg, can you comment? I understand there's some legislation that Olive Branch may be introduced, a bit part of, as far as changing how the phantom students look, and I don't know much more than that. I mean, can you add to that?
What I know is that I don't remember the details of it. I was really hoping he was going to be here to talk about it. But I know that it would sort of change back to maybe the 3%. And sort of make it so it's not such a fast drop, so it would be more gradual over a number of years. And if it could still happen, and if that happens, we'll be in a better position. We'll have less that we need to ask you for, but we still have to approve the budget as is because we don't know if that will happen or not.
Any other? Yes.
I just noticed the current enrollment's 58. Do we have any anticipations of the next year or two? Is it level or trending up or down, or any ideas what it's looking like?
It seems about level. It seems like it'll level off. I mean, this was anticipated that it would drop. We had some movement in and out of our school. And as Stephanie mentioned, to tuition students that hurt the revenue side of the budget. But primarily, as you mentioned, the difference was with the phantom students. And I think for next year, it's projected we have 2 more, right?
Phantom students?
Right.
What's a phantom student?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is there a quick explanation to that? Oh. Equalize people.
Sure.
It's a new phrase.
There was a hold harmless as student enrollment dropped over a period of time. We weren't allowed to drop more than 3.5% of our student population. So if we started off with 100 students in 1 year, we lost 5. The state only counted 3 of those students as actually leaving. And those 2 students that were left are considered phantom students, where we're getting credit for them being in our school system even though they're not. So over a period of years, those phantom students built up. So our equalized per pupil or equalized pupil was higher than the actual number of students that were in the school system. It's not only hit our local school, but it's hit our Union High School as well. As these phantom students have been removed, the same amount of budget dollars divided by a smaller student body has driven the per pupil cost up 10% in Jamaica, 12% in Leland and Gregg, even though the budgets have remained relatively flat. We're dividing it by a much smaller number. That help?
But as far as actual students, we have 5, 6th graders this year, and we anticipate 5 pre-K students coming in. So, but the cohorts vary. Some classes have much larger numbers than others.
Anybody else wish to ask questions, make observations?
Projections for next year.
In terms of
What the budget will look like going forward.
again, there isn't a whole lot we can cut. I'm not anticipating it being dramatically different, but again, Laura's saying the population is going to hold steady. We'll see. I don't know, how can I, we still have some money left in a surplus fund, I think around 55,000 or something that we purposely left just in case we need it again next year. There's no other big dramatic things I see coming down the pipe.
The reason I asked the question is the situation's not going to get better.
Right.
And that's the point I want to get out.
Yes.
it's going to get worse next year.
Right, so good, I'm glad you said that, because, right, we've been saying, at all these Act 46 meetings we've had and everything, we've been saying that it's gonna get harder and harder to fund our schools. We are losing the phantom students. It's one of the sort of protections from the state that has now been removed. And it's just, the state clearly wants us to, be having more kids in each building. This is the beginning, and it will keep getting harder. So,
Is it your goal, I don't know how else to phrase this, is it your goal to keep the school open at all costs?
I don't think
That's
not
really
their goal since Act 46 is
No.
voted on, I don't
She's
know if
speaking
it's
there.
on
Hold on.
it.
Hold on.
I think our goal is ultimately to do the best we can for our students and to provide them with the best opportunities. And
I mean, we do have the Act 46 vote going on.
right, which is not to close the school.
Which is not to close the school, I fully understand that, but I also noticed with great dismay that no one ran for those board seats.
Well, it's the first year that we've ever elected school directors through an Australian ballot, so I think it was hard to get the information out that people had to petition and submit a petition to the town clerk by, I think it was January 30th. So I think the information wasn't there, and it was hard for people to say, I want to run for a board that might not even, exist.
Yeah.
So I think in the future, we can expect people to run
I
for
guess
those
I'm
seats.
just, this was something that has been troubling to me just in general, in terms of a more proactive approach to filling vacancies.
Well,
I apply this to the school, but I also apply this to the town.
So the school board has been extraordinarily active in the last 2 years, and we've had people who really stepped up and were on committees and put in hours and hours of work. And I think what's happened, the reality is a lot of people in Jamaica are kind of tired and have worked really hard on the school stuff. And the new board is going to be a very, very big job. And I think we just have to accept the fact that people are tired. They've done a lot of work, and I think right now the pool of people who might be willing or interested is just a little bit weaker. We had to fill all the regular positions plus 2 more, and it's just there's a limit to what people can do. So we did try to recruit, and we'll have to appoint if nobody gets enough write-in votes. We'll have to appoint someone, and we're hoping that anyone who's interested, please come and approach us.
I'm just hearing something that sounds like a sinking ship. I'm getting a really dismal view of this.
CJ had first, and then.
Well, my comment is that we be careful with this discussion because there's a vote going on back there, and to discuss the merits or dismerits of Act 46, I think is inappropriate.
According to the state, because it's an Australian ballot and we're not voting from the floor, it can be discussed in the same room.
But people can hear it while they're in the ballot box.
I am telling you what the state told me, because we had this concern having that polling booth back there. This was something that came up last year also when we had the Australian ballot for the town garage. So if people are uncomfortable with that, they can ask for closing the discussion. But that's what the body has to do. I can't do that. Yes.
I would just like to comment, just based on your comment. I've been asked by at least 3 of the current school board members, at least once or twice every year, if I would be on the school board. So they're all actively looking for people to step in. As most people who have gone to the Act 46 meetings, there were at least 3 more times the amount of people in this community that came to all of those meetings every time and put in all of their time, because it's an important thing. And it may be a sinking ship, but we're all trying to pick up the pieces and do the best we can. And I don't think anyone here has not done everything that they possibly can to keep it going. So I just want to make sure that that gets brought up, because I just feel like that they need to be, acknowledged for the fact that they are going above and beyond their positions to do this. none of us get paid nearly enough what we should be for this, and we all know this because it's a community service. That's the point of all of us signing up for it. But I just wanted to attest to them that they've all done everything that they could do to try to find more board members. And as Stephanie pointed out, there's a limited pool of people in which we can choose from. And that's all.
Okay, Article 5 still stands before you. More discussion? Drew, and then I saw Patty.
Is it appropriate now to explain kind of what this new Act 46 board is bringing as part of this conversation, or would we entertain that later?
It's up to the body, but you do have a standing article in front of you. So if people want to discuss it at this point,
We could bring it up under other business.
Yeah, I don't.
at the end of the meeting, yeah, we could go to Article 8 with that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Patty?
I just want to second Caroline's conversations. I was involved with Act 46. I've been on the Leland and Gray board for 6 years. There is a lot of hope. There's just so much going on, so many wonderful things going on down at Leland and Gray. The administration is working on different ways of delivering education and assessing education. It's a very vibrant school. Jamaica is an amazingly vibrant school. There's on TV, there's for Act 46, the principals of all the elementary schools did a presentation for the Act 46 board over a couple of weeks, and it was like late September, early October, something like that. And those are all videoed, and they're on the blog spot or on the Brattleboro TV. And you would just be amazed. Even Wyndham, Little Wyndham, what they offer their kids is incredible. It's just so vibrant and so active. And I think that, you know, I have a lot of hope. I mean, I think we have just and every school has its own unique culture, and I see a lot of hope for our schools. I really do.
Just for the record, I don't see it as a sinking ship at all. I just want to make sure that I don't want to leave that hanging out there. It's not.
Article 5 stands before the body. You can call. All right, the question has been called. Second on that? Second. Thank you. All right, now we will move to a vote. And the vote is on Article 5, and I'm going to read it again so people are clear what you're voting on. Shall the voters of the Jamaica School District approve the school board to expend $1,224,838, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. It is estimated that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in education spending of $16,951 even per equalized pupil. This projected spending per equalized pupil is 10.02% higher than spending for the current year. All right, I'm going to ask all in favor of Article 5 to please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say no. Abstentions? Passed Article 5. Article 6, to compensate the directors of the Jamaica School District $300 each. That's per year. So moved. Second?
Second.
Any discussion on the article?
This is for the new board that's being formed.
No, it's retroactive all the way back, so I can get my cut. It's just for the new board. It's just for the board that's been voted in.
That's just for this board, the new board. We'll have to figure that out later. That hasn't been decided yet.
Okay.
Is that a lump sum payment?
It's amortized over 10 years. It's easier on the town that way. No, it's a lump sum.
It's a very small lump.
Okay. You can call a question. Second? All in favor of Article 6 to compensate the directors of the Jamaica School District $300 each? Please say aye if you're in agreement with this article. Aye. Those opposed? Those abstaining? Congratulations. Christmas in March. Article 7, set Tuesday, March 6, 2018, at 10 a.m. for the annual school district meeting. Have a motion? Seconded? Any discussion?
Nope.
Good, okay, questions is called, seconded?
Second.
All in favor of Article 7, to set Tuesday, March 6, 2018 at 10 a.m. for the annual school district meeting, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Very good. Now we're at Article 8. Transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. I believe, Drew, you had an issue. You want to talk about X46? Or you wanted to ask?
No, I was just going to address the question, is it a sinking ship? And the reason why your board members have put so much time into studying alternatives for education, governance, and instruction is because they're trying to keep our ship here in Jamaica from sinking. The reality of our education system right now is that it's expensive, and as we're seeing in our tax rates, we cannot generate enough tax revenue to pay for education under the current structure. So this Act 46 proposal that everyone's voting on now, if it should pass, that board has a lot of work to do. It doesn't change our education funding, it doesn't change our education expenditures. It gives that new board the ability to come up with creative solutions to keep our education system afloat in this area. So if you have the desire to put in the work that's going to be necessary to look at all aspects of our education system, not just elementary school, not just high school, but K through 12 education, and look at it in a way that's creative, in a way that benefits our kids, that's collaborative across the districts, then let the board know that you're interested. That's going to be a very, very active board with a ton of work to do over the next year if this vote passes. It can completely reshape our education system in the area and be excellent for kids, or it can be a giant mess depending on who we get on this board. So I would highly recommend anybody that has that energy and interest to let the board know so that you can get appointed if somebody's not elected. So thank you.
Thanks. Any other observations or business to come up at this point? Yes?
They need more families.
Okay, you work on it. Good. Your subcommittee, go. Stephanie.
I wanted to say that our board, as you all know, throughout the whole F46, the different exploration that we did, we were very neutral about everything and really didn't take a position on which way we thought the town should go. But we unanimously did agree that we think it would be more beneficial to vote for this Act 46 merger than to vote against it. So that was, we put hours and hours, as you know, into figuring out what we thought would be best, and that. So we're stepping out of our usual neutral role and saying we do hope that you'll vote for it. Particularly, we do think there's definitely possibility for opportunity, the way, as Drew said, and also that it does appear to be fairly inevitable. In terms of what the state has indicated to all the folks that we've talked to at the state level, have said that even with the change in administration, it still appears as though the state does want to move forward with mergers, and that union school districts are a very that's kind of a no-brainer for them. So right now we have a situation where we have the articles that we wrote, and we could get the extra resources in terms of tax incentives for at least the next several years for our kids. And we think that that's a better scenario than not having the resources and possibly not having the articles as we've written them. So that's
What would change besides the fact that there's another board with the whole Act 46?
if it goes through, what will change?
Yes.
Well, this board will eventually dissolve in a couple of years. There'll be one board deciding for all 5 schools and Leland Gray High School, making all the decisions, one budget. Then there'll be potentially, jump in here, Drew, because you're on the committee, but potentially the school choice between the elementary schools in some form. That's one, I think, bigger change.
So if you live in this town, but you belong to that entire union, you can go to any of the
elementary schools in.
Right, that's the way the articles are set up.
Potentially.
So
Got it.
potentially you could choose which of the elementary schools you wanted your child to go to. What else? No longer will we have a school meeting. It'll be all Australian ballot. Both the people who are running for office and the budget would all be voted strictly Australian ballot. What else? What are some of the bigger changes? Patty?
One of the areas we defined on the FY18 committee of improving for children is the transition from elementary school to Leland and Gray to 7th and 8th grade. It's a tough transition, and you have a lot of schools coming together, and they're all at different levels. With one board over all of them, we are assuming and hoping that the students will all be on a more level playing field when they arrive at Leland and Gray, so they can hit the ground running and just have a smooth transition into middle school, which is a tough time for kids anyway. And so that was one area that we found that we hope will be improved with one board running all the schools.
I was just going to say, also there would be the opportunity for teachers to be shifted from one school to another if there were one school that happened to have, a large number of a certain, proportion of kids. Potentially the staff could be moved as needed between the schools, which would give a little more flexibility and help with budgeting as well. What were you going to say, Drew?
It really, and that's what this new board that's being formed is going to be tasked with. That's their first year, is coming up with creative solutions. And once the district is formed and it's a single district, the possibilities are really endless. In the sense that we could create schools that have specialties. We could, under that board, they can move grades. So you could have some schools that are specializing in grades 1 through 3 and then 3 through 6 at a different school. Anything that you can come up with as a creative solution to education is on the table under this new structure. There's also the possibility that nothing changes under this new board and this new structure. But what we all know from sitting through these study committees is that right now our education system is not working. Our education funding is not working. So we're going to have to come up with a creative solution. And since the board stepped out and took a position, I'll do the same as a Leland and Gray board member and a study committee member. I do support the Act 46 merger because of the ability for us to really look at the global education system in this area and come up with a better solution for our kids from preschool through 12th grade. Without that, I think we are on a sinking ship. I think that if we do nothing and we keep ignoring this problem, we are going to be in trouble. I said it earlier that the education funding is going to get worse next year. The board did a very responsible job with their budget. They applied surplus money to help keep the tax rate down. They don't have surplus going forward forever. Leland and Gray did the best they could, but we're going to be looking at having to make significant cuts in the future. We're talking $600,000-$700,000 cuts in the budget in order to keep tax rates in check if we do nothing. So we were kind of at a position where we have to make difficult decisions and we have to be creative, and we can't do that alone in Jamaica with a student body of 50, and we can't do that alone at Leland and Gray with a student body of 300. We have to look at that as a whole system and what can we do together to reduce costs while maintaining some sort of opportunity for our kids.
Anybody else wish to address this issue or any other issue to come before this school board meeting? I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Move to adjourn. Thank you. A second on that? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So adjourned. Thank you very much. We'll let them just shuffle the deck chairs up there. Here we go. Article 5. To see what sum of money the voters will vote to pay the town's running expenses and how it will be collected. I'm going to hand things over to Paul Frazier to special numbers.
Don't sit down, I'm gonna be fast.
Yes, go.
The bottom line to all this, we're gonna need to collect taxes for $869,992. That amount is minus the bond payment, which we already voted on earlier, and it's minus the surplus, which we already voted on it earlier, and minus $1,500 from Mountain Valley. We received a letter, they don't need the money this year, so we have gone down to, again, $869,992.
That's what page?
32.
32? Anybody who's following the scorecard?
The number on page 30.
Well, it's different. The numbers should be rated different.
Right, the number that's in here is different from what Paul just stated because of the
bond payment surplus in Mountain Valley. Because if you look on it, it says 965, it's gonna really be 869.
Okay.
Can you see that one?
That's good. Make us sit down now.
Good. So what's your number? 869,992 even.
Correct. That is the amount of money that the voters will vote to pay the town's running expenses, and how will we collect it? That is your number, 869,992. Do I have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Seconded? Very good, thank you. Now, any discussion? Yes.
Could someone tell me what goes on in the Rossonville school that requires electricity? I just am curious. We like a lot of electricity.
Matt, you want to tell them?
Not much goes on. The light left on? No.
It's basically to have the service. So there is electricity there. It's turned off by a breaker, but it's so that you have electricity. So once a year, the Rossons come in and have their anniversary or celebration or whatever, and that's so they can have power then. If anybody else wants to go have an event there, it is a beautiful space, not as well maintained as this, but it's like they closed the school and locked the door and walked out. I mean, the blackboards are still there, the books are still there, the elementary school goes there.
There is a fee collected, I believe, for the use.
Say that?
I believe there's a minimal fee collected for the use.
Oh, I never used, I didn't, I'm just curious because I thought that place is going to close and the lights out.
It's $100 here.
Gotcha.
Okay, question answered?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
My question is, since the Mountain Valley Health Clinic declined their $1,500, could that money be redirected to some other organizations in our community, such as the Jamaica Community Arts Council?
Or
That would help us pay for the...
Or the seniors. Or Senior Solutions, they
Or Senior
request
Solutions.
$600.
I mean, part of that would help us pay for the insurance that we have to buy for the events that we put on in this building. So, I mean, we do have production costs. We try to produce as many events as we can, but we have to pay musicians, we have to buy insurance, we have to pay for the rental, which is not much, that's not a big deal, but, you know, that money could be used in our community.
I believe it's a pretty minimal fee to be able to keep that building's potential there. I mean, it is a historic building. The town, speaking of the old town school, it is a historic building that's owned by the town, has intended for use, and it's $100 to maintain the potential of electricity there. It's
Talking about
Oh, I think you did. Sorry, talking about more than that one. Okay. Rescind that.
Blade and then Norma.
I would just say to the Arts Council, why don't you make an application to the town for funds so it goes through the normal process?
Okay.
You don't have, I mean, you know, I just, if, it seems to me that if Mountain Valley doesn't need the money this year, just, you know, save it for next year. But I do think that with these kind of things, it really should go through the process.
Norma?
We had a request from Senior Solutions for $600 from the town of Jamaica to be appropriated at the March 2017 town meeting. And this went to, it was sent December 6th, and I see it's not in the budget.
Are you sure?
Yes, I
Because
have it right here.
Okay, I have a hard time finding these items in the
Page
budget too.
35?
35?
$600?
Yes.
It says Council on Aging, which is Senior Solutions, correct?
Ah, you got it, thank you.
I had a hard time finding this too.
Thank you very much, sorry.
This issue has come up, and so I have been in touch with the Vermont City of Leagues and Towns, or whatever they're called. They put on a moderator refresher course every February, which I go to. This question came up, and in the instance where the town is approached by an organization for funding, it has to go through the warning process. And so it's best to go through the warning process next year. Or you approach after this meeting, you can approach them, but it doesn't go through this body that way, because it has to be warned properly as part of the budget. It can't be an add-on. Whereas the amendment that we were dealing with Elaine was a shift of emphasis within the town structure. Since these are outside organizations, there's a difference, and you have to go through the warning process. That's how it was explained to me. Any other discussion to come up on number 5? Yes?
I would like to offer an amendment to increase the budget by $14,373 so that the town can hire Rescue Inc. to cover the entire town instead of just the south end. Now that they're much closer and fully staffed, 24/7.
How did you write it?
It's basically double the Rescue Inc. budget we have now, which is $14,373.
All right, in this case, because it's been a warned item in the budget, this can be an amendment to this article. So if Stuart has just made a motion, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Let's have the number one more time, 14,000?
$373.
$73. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded? Very good. Now, what we're going to do is like we did before, we're going to deal with this discrete package, which is an amendment to this article. So we will vote, discuss, and then vote on this discrete package. Whichever way it goes, then we go back to the original article, discuss again, and then go for a vote for the whole article. So now I'm going to open it up for discussion on Stuart's motion. Yes?
Stuart, could you please just quickly explain the difference, how your proposal is different from what we currently do?
So right now, we pay a subsidy for basically half the town, because right now Rescue Inc. kind of covers 2, I believe it's Cole Pond.
Can you stand up, please, so I can hear?
Sorry. So right now, Rescue Inc. covers to Cole Pond, correct, Stuart? Grattan Gate? Yep. Gray area there somewhere. And then Londonderry Rescue was dispatched for anything north of that. Now that Rescue Inc. is just down the street and fully staffed 24/7, I think it makes sense for them to cover the entire town. So that subsidy would have to be doubled.
Is that a quicker response time? Is it partially to support the new services?
For me, it's response time because they're staffed 24/7. Anybody that listens to the scanner, they know the response time for Londonderry can sometimes vary dramatically. And, it's certainly nothing against Londonderry. They provide a great service, they're great people, they're well trained, but they're all volunteer, and everybody knows where that's going. And I just think this, for anybody up there that's having a heart attack, they're going to want somebody sooner rather than later.
Stuart, I have a question. All right, I got 3 people here. I'm going to go April, then Elaine, and then Rob.
Our fire department doesn't have anything, like our actual volunteer.
Our fire department does not have an ambulance. We are a first response EMS service only, so basically first aid
And fire.
and fire. So
Elaine?
Stuart, I'm sure you talked to you about this.
Stuart is actually the town of Jamaica's representative. He's a board member of Rescue.
I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, that's what I want.
The town will still have to go to the Rescue Inc. board and ask for the service. It's not a guarantee, but they can't do that if they don't have the money.
Right. Will that amount cover what you think would be necessary to perform the service?
Yes.
And your current coverage area includes to Dummerston line? Or do you think that's going to change?
So I'll give you just a quick overview. Rescue provides service to 15 communities, starting from the Massachusetts border. We cover all the way up to Stratton-Arlington Road, Stratton Gate, Hinsdale, Chesterfield, New Hampshire, Putney. We do it at 2 offices, one in Brattleboro and our new office here in West Townsend. It's about 500 square miles. We have 7 ambulances. The kind of unique aspect of the service that's being provided in Townsend is that the ambulances are actually staffed. So when you dial 911, within a minute the truck is out the door on the road. And that's the level of service we provide in all 15 communities. We're actually in the process of fully staffing this station, which will be 4 providers during the day, 2 providers in the overnight, so that we have the depth of coverage we need in order to provide for the emergencies that are happening in this area. What most people don't realize in the world of emergency medicine is that the 911 call is only the start of your medical emergency. So if you have that heart attack or you have a major medical problem, it begins with the 911 call, but then it ends up with getting you to a place that can actually fix your issue. So we have great community access hospitals. Grace Cottage and Brattleboro, we're the 2 hospitals we serve, do a wonderful job of stabilizing patients. Our service is from when we pick you up at your house until you hit definitive care. That could be Boston for burns, it could be Dartmouth for cardiac, it could be Bay State for pediatrics. So the reason why we need the staff, the reason why we have our putting 2 crews on is so that we can address those needs in the community. When you have your heart attack, we take you to Grace Cottage. They're going to perform services to stabilize you. All of our staff and our equipment is basically paramedic level, critical care level. For people that are not familiar, that's operating at the same level as an intensive care unit in our ambulances. We'll then pick you up, regardless of the weather, unlike a helicopter, and take you off to Dartmouth, Bay State, Boston, wherever you need to go. And that's the service that Stuart's talking about.
I got Rob and Chris and Karen.
That answers some of it, but just to get back to what you were saying earlier. So you know, you're the first call to Stratton Gate, is that generally speaking?
Yes.
So if there was a call beyond Stratton Gate up in Rossingville or places up Londonderry, that would be Londonderry Rescue currently.
Yes.
So $14,000 would buy us, you guys being the first to respond up in that area as well, to cover the entire town of Jamaica.
Yes.
Okay. And that probably, I would assume, help you better staff and support your new station in West Townsend, which is advantageous to us in Jamaica. Sounds like a pretty good deal.
I thought it was said to Cole Pond covered, or is it Stratton Gate? Because I thought you said Cole Pond.
Drew's telling me Stratton Gate.
Okay.
Historically, when I was fire chief, the cutoff was like Cole Pond Road, but that was years ago, so it's right in that area somewhere.
And then different numbers, it was 14,000. Is that what we pay now?
Right now, we pay $14,373, which is basically half the town.
That's what I was-
We pay subsidy on half the town.
Right, so that's why I was confused when you said Cole Pond at first, that to go beyond that, that's definitely not half the town left over, so that makes more sense on the Cole Pond.
not
or
how
the
it's Cole
Stratton
Pond.
Gate.
So,
Yes.
just where those numbers come from, Rescue charges a subsidy to each town, and it's based it's a per capita based on the census. So we charge $26 and change per capita to the residents of Jamaica. And since we cover half the town, we took the resident number, divided it in half, multiplied by 26. So it really had nothing to do with exactly how many residents were on what side of the line.
Karen?
Thank you for bringing this up. This is something that I had been wanting to bring to the select board for a little while. Listening to the scanner sometimes, not too long ago, Lexa was on there. You were at a place up in Rossonville and you said, should we call Rescue Inc. because Londonderry Rescue wasn't able to get there very quickly. And I thought, boy, we really need this. If I'm in an accident up there or something, I want Rescue Inc. there.
Sorry, it's hard. Like Stuart said, Londonderry is all volunteer. Everybody works during the day and whatnot, and we have had a good relationship with Londonderry Rescue. I'm hoping that we can, I want to make sure that we talk to them. I don't want any animosity between Rescue Inc. and Londonderry Rescue, just in case Division 2 happens to be in Wardsboro and we have something up in the other end of town and we have to call Londonderry and they'll say, sorry, we're not going to come, which they wouldn't do that. So I want to make sure we have a good working relationship, and I'm sure Drew will make sure that happens with Londonderry if we go that route.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. It sounds like a great idea. I'm just curious, are we currently paying Londonderry Rescue that sum?
$1,500 a year, which
Just
is a
15.
small donation.
That's what I was just gonna say. Currently, I think in the budget it said $1,050. And I'm not advocating that we take that away from Londonderry. I think that's a pittance to pay just to have them there for mutual aid, because they could spend $1,000 on one accident in medical supplies. So I think that line item should stay there. We should still support them. And, you know, I'm not saying they don't provide a great service. Like Lexa said, they do. It's just a matter of reality and a matter of response times, and it just seems irresponsible to have them sitting there on the West Townsend line, ready to jump in the truck and go, meanwhile somebody's waiting for a volunteer crew to get put together. So that's why I make the motion.
All right, so this is the motion for amendment.
I happen to live on Copung Road, and I wouldn't want somebody to quibble over who's going to come a minute or two is going to count. So I wouldn't want somebody to come from Londonderry versus the one right up the street here. So I think it's a good suggestion.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Yes.
Call for the question.
Very good. The question has been called, so I'll make it clear again, which you're going to, and do I have a second for the call? Second. Very good. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're just voting on the amendment that Stuart has put forward, and his amendment is to direct the select board to put $14,373 even towards complete coverage of Jamaica. From more beyond the present budget to cover up there to rescue it. Is that clear? This is just the amendment. All right. So all in favor of this amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Abstentions? So passed. Very good. Now, I need a new number. Now we go back to the original article. So what do we have?
We have $884,365.
So now this article has been amended properly by the body to read, to see what sum of money the voters will pay to the town's running expenses and how it will be collected. Now your number that you're looking at is 884,365. So $884,065 even. Now we're back into the discussion portion on this article. Is there further discussion? Oh, back here, wait a minute, hold on, yes? Is there a question?
Just a question on page 36.
On page 36, yes?
It's just a question about the winter sidewalk maintenance. And in that budget figure, is there money put aside for a larger that for the person who does such a great job of cleaning the sidewalks in the winter? But the machine that's used
I'll
is
restate.
not capable of doing the job, let's put it that way.
So is there anything in this budget that will get you a better machine? Or get the person who does this?
The question is that there's notice in here
I don't see
that
anything for...
there's a budget for the clearing of the sidewalks in the village. And there's a question if could be more money put into that fund for a larger machine for the individual who does the work. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What's the answer?
I don't know.
We've asked Keith to look into getting a better piece of equipment. It's not in the budget because if we did get it, it would come out of the highway equipment budget. It wouldn't, our reserve fund wouldn't come out of the general fund because it's capital expense. We have, he's looking, he wants to do something similar to what Brattleboro does for their sidewalks. So he's looking into that for us.
Well, the reason I ask is because I'm looking at where it says new equipment purchase for a highway and there's nothing there. So,
Right.
on that line
On
at
the-
all.
Right, that's the general fund.
Oh, okay.
Right. If we did purchase it, it would come out of the equipment fund.
All right.
But we have asked Keith to look into that.
Okay.
So it's under advisement with the select board. Any other questions, observations, amendments? Thank you. The question is called. Second? Very good. Now, we are going to vote on the article, if I can find it. All right, so the article is number 5, and it's to see what sum of money the voters will vote for the town for running expenses and how it will be collected. Now, at this point, the number you are voting on is $800,084. 800,000, wait a minute, 884. 365. All right? Next time I'll do it in 2 decimal. That's how it stands. So I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor of Article 5 with the stated number, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So passed. Moving on to number 6, to see if the voters will authorize the select board to borrow money in anticipation of taxes. Do I have a motion on the floor? Seconded?
Yeah.
Very good. Discussion? Thank you. Move the question. Song for my ears. Seconded that? Second. Very good. All right. All in favor of Article 6, to see if the voters will authorize the select board to borrow money in anticipation of taxes, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Abstentions? So passed. Number 7, shall the voters authorize the select board to spend unanticipated funds such as grants, gifts, and/or interest?
So moved.
Seconded?
Yeah.
Very good. Discussion? Hey. And is that seconded? Seconded. Excellent. Very good. Now, on number 7, shall the voters authorize the select board to spend unanticipated funds such as grants, gifts, and/or interest? All in favor of this article, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Abstentions? So passed. Number 8, shall the voters authorize the elimination of the office of lister and replace it with a professionally qualified assessor appointed by the select board who shall have the same powers, discharge the same duties, proceed in the discharge thereof in the same manner, and be subject to the same liabilities as are prescribed for listers or the board of listers under the provisions of Title 32. What's the body's pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion that we pass over this.
I'll second. Yeah.
Okay. The body wishes to pass over this article.
Is there discussion on that?
She made the motion before the discussion.
No, I mean, is there discussion on this motion?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'll,
Yeah, actually there is, but it's only on passing over the article. You can't discuss the article itself, you only discuss the passing over of the article.
What I would like to recommend...
Well, wait a minute, I gotta get a second on the floor first. A second to this? All right, I'm just making sure myself, okay. Now discussion.
I think the Board of Listers is in the transitional phase between what used to be the old paradigm and the new paradigm as I discussed. My recommendation would be that the Board of Listers come back to the town meeting next year with a proposal for how they would operate post the redoing. the reappraisal. So that would be my recommendation, is that they come back with this, with a recommendation to this board, so how they would operate post.
This is in the discussion, it's not part of the amendment. She wants to.
No, that's why I'm
actually just pass over, right, exactly. So, do other people want to discuss whether we should pass over this or not? Does the body wish to discuss it or not? That's the question before you. So I'm going to ask for a vote.
Move the question.
If you vote the question, somebody can call the question. I got a second on that, right? All right, here's what we're doing. Now, what's on the floor here is that we pass over this article. I'm going to ask for a yes vote. Yes means, yes, I want to pass over this article. That does not preclude what Lou just described as possibly happening. It just means that this body won't go into discussion over the details of that. If you vote no, this down, then we go back in and we discuss it. And the detail that Lou was bringing up as a body. There's the difference. Any points of information I can take now?
I was just curious, so next year, we're gonna make, no?
No, the point, the motion is that we pass over this event. Nothing about what's gonna happen with it.
Right.
After we pass it.
This is only a vote whether we should pass over this article.
And then we jump over it and discuss.
We need to correct. She said pass over the event. This is just this article regarding the event. The event may appear later on, but we're talking now just about this article relating to.
At this time.
Exactly.
In front of this body, in this form.
That's all it voted on.
You're not precluding them from doing, or bringing it to the body again next year with a better design.
We're just putting off the decision if we say yes.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
You're passing over the article. Doesn't mean it can't come up in a future meeting. That's at the discretion of the board warning it. But it means right now, you're not going to discuss this article. You're going to pass over. Because remind you, this morning, you voted in 2 listers, so you have a full complement of listers in your lister's office. So the town is covered and you are covered legally. This is talking about what possibly could happen or might happen in the future. Do we want to discuss that now or put it off till later? Yes.
I'd like to discuss it.
Okay,
This is a motion.
Right, so we've got the motion to pass over.
Yes.
We're still in the discussion phase.
Call the question.
Thank you. All right, second? Second. Very good. Now the question has been called, and the question is to pass over Article 8. If you vote yes, we pass over it. We do not discuss it. It's closed. If you vote no, that means you still wish to go back to discussing. So, is that clear?
Yes.
All right, here we go. All in favor of passing over this article, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed to passing over this article, please say no. No. Anybody abstaining?
Not because I want to vote it, but I wish you.
Do another business.
That's an option. However, the ayes have it, the article has been passed over. 9, to set a time, wow, we're there. Okay, this is the time for the opening of the next annual town meeting to be held on the first Tuesday in March 2018 to transact any other business that may legally come before. Whoa, that's misworded, isn't it? All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to make a decision here. I'm going to ask, is there any other business to legally transact before this body? Ben?
Yes, I'd like to go back to the article of the $38,000 and not particularly that amount, but to get the selectmen working on a fail-safe program so residents of the town do not have to leave their property, whether it's through education or outreach or whatever else. But I think that's kind of an important thing for especially the elderly people in town and people who are losing their jobs.
Are there any other matters to come up? Any other business?
Could you repeat
He's talking about the 38,000 this morning where we had the vote. He would like for the board to look into actually doing the suggestion that Elaine's amendment addressed. All right, so is there any other business to come before this body legally?
What happened to Ben's?
It's advisory, because it wasn't warned, you can't vote on it, and we voted on it this morning. Yeah, thank you. Second that? Very good. Now we can move on to set the time for the opening of the next annual meeting to be held on the first Tuesday of March 2018, and the date of that is? The 6th. Next year it will be the 6th. I'll entertain a motion for the body. Seconded? All in favor? Oh, you want to discuss it? March 6th.
Did I miss the time?
Let me do it on
March 6th. 10 a.m.?
No, 1 a.m.
Oh, town, sorry.
Well, I was just trying to follow.
1 p.m.
Article would have cost the town at least $10,000.
Other meeting in case one is not early.
Why don't they
Let the
put
record
this dollar
state
values
that
in
what everybody said is correct. Yes, immediately following.
You have to dig deep.
Any discussion? Other than my point, yes, Joel.
I would like to see discuss the possibility of having a meeting at a different time frame than daytime.
That would be a
That would be under business. Although it is under the, we're asking time. Well then, he has opened it up. If I have a second for that, we can go
Can I
into
just point
discussion.
out that we already voted that the school board meeting would be at 10 a.m.
So
we
we're,
should have probably brought that up earlier.
okay, so it's a logistical thing that we've already voted for one meeting at one time.
But I'm just suggesting open discussion on possibly changing.
If we have, the body has a second, you can discuss it, doesn't mean you can change.
Not necessarily now.
Right, but
Open up the possibility of changing the structure so that it occurs.
So that's your motion. That's, okay, do I have a second to that motion to discuss that issue?
Sure, second.
There's a second, the body is open to discuss, please.
I have.
Oh, sorry, go right ahead.
I know at Leland and Gray, we talked about changing our dates of budget and all that stuff, and I think there was something about we had to warn it ahead before we could change it, like, once we're in that part of the thing, we can't change it then, we have to warn it, so we would, but I'm not sure about this, you know, but I would think you'd have to warn it for next year's warning, so then it could happen for the year after, but I'm not positive.
And this is the discussion going on now, where the body wants to speak. So these are questions. So when I bring this up as an amendment to this article, be aware that there are legal questions we're not certain about, especially since we've already set the school board.
I believe that's right, that you do need to warn it prior to today's meeting and vote on it at today's meeting, but it does have to be warned for today's meeting for next year.
Correct.
I'm not an expert, but I believe that's true.
That's why we're talking. Oh.
I suggest that we used to have a candidates night. And a lot of towns doing pre-town meeting night so that people who cannot attend during the day can at least come ask questions in the evening, you know, of what's going to be voted on. There's no votes that can happen at that time, but at least people can have healthy discussion about it and get answers. I think that bringing back candidates night and calling it something else.
And one thing that will address is that here, when somebody is put forward as a candidate for any office in the town or the school board, they cannot speak to why they want to be on that, because that would be campaigning within the body. Whereas a candidate's night, they can address those issues, why they want to do this.
And since we're doing school, if Act 46 passes, we'd be doing school directors on a ballot. You'd have to petition ahead, and that would fit well with that process, I would think.
I was just curious as to what time frame you were looking to change it to.
I'm sorry?
I was just trying to figure out what you were thinking about possibly changing it to.
Well, I think that needs to be discussed, but I think if you look at the attendance at town meeting, there are probably people who could be here at more convenient times, or people who could take advantage when they don't have childcare, so that more people could be involved in town meeting and more people could be involved in the elections. I'm not proposing that it be changed for next year. I'm proposing that it be open for discussion to try to get as many people in this town involved in the governing of the town. So whether it be an evening meeting or a candidates meeting, those are all good ideas that would allow more people to be involved.
Is there any more discussion on this topic? There will be more discussion on this topic, but before this body now. Call the question. The question's been called, seconded? Very good. So do you want to continue talking on this issue? Please say aye. Yes?
Aye.
Those who wish to close this out and not speak to this issue any longer, please say no. No. No's have it. We're back to the original article, which is setting the date and time. So the date would be the 6th of March, correct? At 1 p.m. Immediately following. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that's before you. You want to discuss it some more? Move the question. Thank you. Second. All right, good. All in favor of this article as previously stated, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, second.
I'll second.
You did it.